This podcast may contain discussions of graphic violence, unsettling themes, supernatural phenomena, and other topics that some listeners may find disturbing or triggering. Listener discretion is advised. This podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only. The opinions expressed are simply those of the individual hosts and do not represent the profession of psychology or constitute professional advice.
Welcome to the Secret Passage podcast, now in video format. So you can look at us when we're speaking. How are you doing, Shannon?
I'm okay. I'm actually on camera and I'm not freaking out. So
Yeah.
That's good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. This is different. This is new. This is our summer season. So we are very happy to be back. We had some technical difficulties last week. So as you guys know, we put up a Patreon episode for your listening pleasure and to also hopefully entice you to join our Patreon, to subscribe to our Patreon. Well, Shannon, did you venture down any secret passages this past week?
I did. Wait, okay. Are you looking into the camera when you're talking to me? I love this.
I'm looking into the camera.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking at you.
Okay. This is so cool. We don't have to edit this out either. This is just us.
Yeah, we're
learning
figuring it out. Yeah.
I did. I mean, nothing beats this in terms of confronting one's fears, being on camera. But yeah. We did have 4th of July. So, it was like bombs bursting in air in Fruitvale, and it was nuts. And, I had a good time, but Ginger did not. And I spent the whole night taking care of her. But it's over, and now we have a whole year before it happens again.
Yes. Similarly, we had poor Poochie, who last year was our first 4th of July in this house that we have. And I didn't realize how terrified Poochie was, because prior to this house, we just didn't hear fireworks where we lived before. So Poochie was running around terrified. He pooped himself. He was shaking. It was so bad. So this year we took your advice and got a white noise machine. I closed all the windows and I turned on, I went through the Scream franchise. Remember how I was going through the Final Destination franchise for the 10th time? I went through the Scream franchise, and man, it holds up. It's so good. So I was hoping that terrified screams from Sidney Prescott and friends would drown out the bombs bursting in air. So
the soothing sounds of teens screaming.
It reminds me that there's that scene in American Psycho where Patrick Bateman is doing 1,000 crunches, and has the sound of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre playing loudly in his apartment.
Oh yeah. I finally rented the last Final Destination, and I fell asleep, but I watched the beginning, and I just love that freaking franchise.
Same.
It's just magnetic. When I turned it on, the opening scene the opening whole little vignette is so good. So I can't wait to finish it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it that holds up as well. I think it is a perfectly worthy addition to the Final Destination franchise. Scream, I didn't like the last Scream.
I didn't either. It was so bad.
Yeah,
so bad. That was one with the sister and her older sister. Yes.
Yeah, it just doesn't So, also, what is wrong with me? So last night, there were. It's like people kind of setting off their leftover fireworks and stuff. So it wasn't as intense
Mhm.
as 4th of July, but there would be the occasional, distant explosion that
Mm.
that Poochie didn't like. So I watched the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, was it good?
No,
Yeah, I
it's
didn't think it would
terrible.
be. It was
The, it it's so that I was like, as I'm watching it, I'm thinking to myself, what? Even though the effects of the original Nightmare on Elm Street are, by today's standards, they're a little silly, maybe, but it works because it's a nightmare, right? Each thing is a nightmare. So when Freddy's arms look ridiculous, they're stretched out wide
Mhm.
and he's scratching. Everything fits into this idea of how dreams are strange.
Yeah.
And also Freddy was so glib and it worked for him, when he's like, "Hey,
So
Nancy,
sassy.
no running in the halls." He's like, and in this one, he's like, "Yeah, Nancy, you were always my favorite." Uh,
Ew.
and I'm like,
Like
yeah,
horny old
that's
man?
like just and like a criminal. He's like
Uh-huh.
he behaved like a hardened criminal, whereas the original Freddy was everything's kind of amusing and funny to him. He doesn't see like he is dark, but he doesn't seem dark.
And he's
Like
having fun. He's like, "I'm having fun doing this."
yeah,
Yeah.
he's unflappable,
Mhm.
and that adds to it. What I loved about the Nightmare on Elm Street remake was Rooney Mara stars in it. I'd totally
Hmm.
forgotten that. I love her. So Jay and I, huge Rooney Mara fans. I just find her like, I don't know what it is. Her, and I love her sister too, Kate Mara, who
Hmm.
um, doesn't have the same career as Rooney. Rooney's been like nominated for a couple of Academy Awards. She's just an incredible actress,
Is
and I
she
love her
the
face.
is she the one that was in The Substance? No.
No,
Who is she?
no, Rooney Mara. So she was her breakout role was the girl with the dragon tattoo. Like
Oh,
she's the
yeah,
lead in
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she plays the girl in the Social Network that
I'm looking her up.
uh that Jesse Eisenberg is talking to, and he's kind of like clowning her for not being a Harvard student. Um,
Oh, God, I don't even remember, but yes, I know who she is. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it's so funny that she's in this movie. You know what I mean? Like it's just because it's her, and of course it's early on in her career. But I was like, Rooney Mara, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. You're a quality actress. I say that, but Connie Britton plays her mother in it, and I love Connie Britton. So
I love Connie Britton too.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you have to start somewhere. Pedro Pascal was in Buffy.
yeah, but Buffy's a
It was good. It was
Buffy
quality.
well loved. You're talking about the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, gang, we're going to have to dive into this. I'd like to give a shout out to Jackie St. James, a good friend of mine who's also a listener of the show. She had asked us to do an episode on the Byron Smith case. So here we are. We have done some extensive watching and reading about this case. It's been a journey, an emotional journey for me, much like the Catherine Kasanoff case, where I, went into it just feeling a lot of disgust and borderline hatred. Hate is a strong word, but just loathing for the teens in this case, and so. Yeah, I had a lot of soul searching with this one, a lot of thinking about things. So for those of you that are not familiar with the Byron Smith case or who need a refresher, here's a quick summary. So the Byron Smith case is a controversial murder case from Minnesota in 2012. Byron Smith, a homeowner, shot and killed 2 teenage intruders, Nicholas Brady and Haile Kifer, who were breaking into his home. Smith claimed self-defense, but the circumstances of the shootings were especially violent and brutal. So on Thanksgiving Day, Byron Smith shot Brady multiple times. And when Kifer came down the basement stairs, he shot her as well. So audio recordings revealed that after shooting the teenagers, Smith made statements that suggested he went beyond self-defense and had intentionally set them up to kill them. Smith was ultimately convicted of first-degree murder for both killings. The jury found that his actions were not reasonable self-defense, but instead were an act of revenge and excessive force. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Debate about home defense and the limits of self-defense law. I skipped ahead. This was a decision that sparked significant public debate about home defense and the limits of self-defense law, which is where a lot of the debate comes in. That's where I was sitting also, and I think where you were sitting is this is my home. I have a right to defend it in whatever way I see fit. So again, the case raised a lot of complex legal and ethical questions about the use of force when it's in your own home, with regard to invasions and stuff, and where's the line between self-defense and murder? So that's a summary. So Byron Smith, he was a it doesn't get into this, but I think it's absolutely relevant to this case. He is a decorated military veteran and was a quiet loner and living peacefully, great neighbor.
Yeah, he was like buddies with his neighbor.
Yeah, and did a lot of volunteer work. Had worked hard his whole life, just wanted to lead a quiet life, and he was being burglarized. It almost seems like on a regular basis. There had been a few. Mm-hmm. His medals had been taken. Things had been rifled through. He had guns that had been stolen as well. And he was becoming anxious and paranoid about being victimized in this way. I'm not clear on if he was. Well, no, he was worried about his own guns being used on him. That was a fear he had.
But also the thing about it is his job. I'm gonna shift in my seat.
Sure.
For those watching. He worked for the State Department in security, installing security systems. So he was already like quite security minded,
Right.
Which I think is really interesting, right? So here's a guy whose whole life has been spent working for when he wasn't involved in the military, for the State Department, traveling all over, doing security work. And, here he is living alone in his home that he's going to retire in his hometown where he should be safe. And instead of being safe, he's getting burglarized, having $50,000 worth of stuff stolen from him. So, yeah, I mean, that's just a piece that I thought was so, builds a picture of his character and his personality and his history and what might have led to him setting up this elaborate security system that he set up after the burglaries to protect himself. Did you know that each camera that he installed in his home had its own screen? So he could look at, like, he had a screen grid, of like pro security setup.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Oh, that makes me think of that movie starring, it's such a bad 90s movie starring Sharon Stone and Billy Baldwin, Sliver.
Sliver.
Yeah, I'm like picturing like all of these screens, and he's all,
Yes, he had a sliver set
yeah,
up.
yeah. Wow, wow. Which I think plays into the paranoia that this was bringing about, the anxiety and the paranoia. Um,
The sense of
so
vulnerability.
yes. So then, what I'm going to do is quickly just go through a timeline
Okay.
so that everyone, so we can kind of refresh our memories about the series of events, and also you guys watching, listening can get a sense as well. So November 22nd, 2012, Byron Smith shoots and kills two teenage burglars, Nicholas Brady, who's 17, and Haile Kifer, who's 18. They had entered his home in Little Falls, Minnesota. So here's some details of the incident. Nicholas Brady and Haile Kifer broke into Smith's home through a basement window. Smith was waiting for the intruders, armed with multiple firearms. He shot both teenagers multiple times, including after they were already wounded. Smith audio recorded the entire incident. December 2012. Smith is arrested and charged with two counts of first-degree murder. April 2013. Criminal trial begins in Morrison County, Minnesota. May 2013. Smith is found guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder, sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. So, some of the key legal arguments are: prosecution argued Smith went beyond reasonable self-defense because, again, the teens were wounded, and he presumably at that point could see that they were rendered like incapable of actually doing anything, and he followed through and killed them. Showing that this went beyond him just defending himself and his property. He was seeking to kill them. The defense claimed that Smith was protecting his home from repeated burglaries, which, again, I'm not clear on Haile Kifer. I can't recall, but Nicholas Brady had broken in there before.
Mm-hmm.
And had worked for Smith, like doing like yard work and stuff prior to all this.
Yes,
which
I
is
heard
wild.
that. Well, this is a funny thing. I heard that, and then I heard on a different documentary that his friend had worked for him. So I don't know which is true, whether he worked for him, but someone he knew or him worked for him.
Yeah, I think that he had been. Well, no. I was going to say that's different. Small town, right? So people know people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the excessive nature of the shootings and Smith's post-shooting comments were crucial in the conviction. So the audio on the security showed him being very, very cold-blooded, and speaking to them in this dehumanizing way. After they were rendered Haile specifically was crying out, that she didn't want to die and that she was sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I forgot what he said.
He called them vermin.
Vermin, yeah. So dehumanizing again. So that really was disturbing to the jury. Presumably.
I think he called her a bitch too.
He did. That's right. Yeah. As she's pleading for her life. So the case gained significant national attention for its complex legal and ethical questions surrounding self-defense and home protection in Minnesota. So my mistake when I initially heard this was that I just assumed that, Castle Doctrine would protect Byron Smith in this, except that it's different in the state of Minnesota. So the the Castle Doctrine in Minnesota allows use of reasonable, that emphasis on reasonable force to protect oneself in one's home, provides legal protection for homeowners defending against intruders, does not provide unlimited or unconditional rights to use deadly force. So specific Minnesota requirements are reasonable belief of threat, must have genuine reasonable belief of imminent danger. So we can see where this breaks down with, with the recording.
Mm-hmm.
Threat must be perceived as life-threatening. Force must be proportional to the perceived threat, which again, there's a duty to retreat. Minnesota generally requires attempt to retreat before using deadly force. Castle Doctrine creates an exception inside one's home. So obviously, if somebody's outside your house, you don't go out front and kill them. It's sort of like you exhaust every other option and then you shoot to defend yourself. So if you shut the door and then the people leave, then you didn't have, your duty, your retreat worked.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, they were already inside the home. So had they been coming at him with using, with a weapon, I think then that would have been justified.
Mm-hmm.
Homeowner is not required to retreat when threatened inside their residence. Okay. So I can go on and on. There's the limitation. I think this is all kind of redundant. Force used must be objectively reasonable. Subjective perception of threat is evaluated by legal standards. But again, that audio recording just pretty much fucked him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Also, the fact that he had his sliver set up and they were outside of his house and he had a phone and he didn't pick it up and call 911.
Yeah.
That also sort of that's really clarifying for me. One of the documentaries I watched, one of the, I think it was a cop was talking about it. No, it was as an attorney. And he said, he's like, he had a phone, he had a camera, he saw them outside. Never once did he try to call for assistance to try to prevent any of it. So that for me was the most, when it all kind of came into place for me. He had plenty of opportunities to de-escalate the situation or to have another outcome other than murder or shooting.
I mean,
mm-hmm.
let's be honest. Had he, so the initial thing is he parked down the street so it would look like he wasn't home. And I know there's a lot of people that were like, he tricked them. That's not fair. He tricked them. It's like, he has a fucking right to park down the street if he wants to. The point is they shouldn't have broken into his house. Had he tricked them, which I get, so that he could see them, he could have confronted them.
Exactly.
Hey, you fuckers. He could even confront them holding a gun and be like, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they would have never come back.
Absolutely.
They would have run.
They probably hadn't apologized,
Well, Haile would have apologized.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about Nicholas Brady. I'm wondering about him. This is the shitty thing is there's no information about these teens. None.
What's crazy is I saw a documentary. There's two that I watched, and one of them featured his mother and his sister, and they were doing the whole
he was great.
Yeah, he's a saint thing.
Yeah,
he was good. Then though, what you find out in this other documentary, and they interview his grandparents who actually raised him because the mother. Well, yeah, because the mother had issues, they said. Sure. And they were shocked to find out that he was burglarizing homes. They said, they were really reasonable people with a sort of less of a bias, I think.
Sure.
They were really shocked by that behavior. And it was interesting to know though, that's who was raising him. And he had a good, solid, it seems like, upbringing. It seems like they were attentive, present. He had it seemed like a middle class, but you know how they do in documentaries, they put you up in something that's supposed to be your house, but it's really this
the interviewing
a
place,
rental or
right?
something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But it seemed like they were really thoughtful, loving guardians for him, and that they saw the two of them as being quite wholesome. You know, I think she had a lot of friends. Haile had a lot
She
of
did
friends at school.
sports.
Hmm.
Yeah, I saw the Dateline one,
Hmm.
and it's just one of those things where there's the interview with her sister and the interview with, I think, her mom, and all they're talking about is just singing this girl's praises, and I'm watching it like, she fucking burglarized a house, like,
Right.
something happened. And then the only thing that I saw about like Nicholas Brady was some random kid that never comes back again is like, he was a bully in high school. I'm like, okay.
I know. There's no details.
There's nothing. And then I'm like combing the internet, find nothing. And is it relevant? No, not really. I mean, the bottom line is they shouldn't have broken into the house, but also they shouldn't be dead.
It's a
You
definite
know,
fuck around and find out situation where
it
the
is.
people who,
Yeah.
and I think the media and everyone else is sort of treating them as the pure victim, you know?
Right.
And sure, they are. I mean, I think that he majorly
He fucked up.
overstepped and
Yes.
murdered them. Didn't have to do that.
Right.
But they also fucked around. And like, you mess with the bull, you get the horns, you know? It's like, yeah. I mean, I could have died getting back the eye of the storm. Like, we're so stupid. And
dude, I don't even get me. I think back and I shudder at what a piece of shit I was in my youth. And I'm just glad I didn't come across a Byron Smith to fucking put a gun in my face.
Or like
You
a
know what I'm
Ted
saying?
Bundy to murder me. I know, I did so many stupid things that, you know, went on dates with guys that could have been serial killers. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tim was saying all the stuff he did too, because kids, boys, I mean, I don't know girls that wreaked the kind of havoc that they did as kids. Like, they would do things that are like, like before the age of 17, did they have conduct disorder? You know, like sociopath, you know, pathway.
If Haile, Kifer, and Nick Brady had broken into these houses wielding weapons, that'd be one thing, but it really shows they're not thinking, you know?
I know.
But here's the thing I want to get into, which I don't think enough attention, I think you and I both agree on this, not enough attention is paid to this. And considering we did that episode about the Vietnam War, and then of course I finally saw Warfare, and which is such a great movie, such a great movie. But it really gets into the you understand how fucking PTSD happens when you see, like, this is one incident in Warfare. It's for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's fantastic. It's I want to say it's written or co-written by one of the SEAL team guys from, I think it's SEAL Team 5 in Iraq, and it's him and the rest of his buddies on that day, recounting what exactly happened. So it's one incident out of God knows how many, and it's really well done because it takes place in real time, and you are just watching, like, this is just one incident out of who knows how many, and that one incident would, I don't know how you could come away from that not just altered.
Yeah.
So that, all that to say, and then of course referencing our previous episode about Vietnam War and soldiers, is Byron Smith's his background. It plays into this, and I think his background should have been taken into account. And I understand that in Minnesota it's really hard to plead insanity, except his behavior prior to these break-ins and the you know, killing the two kids, he had no criminal record. He was a quiet member of society, just going about his life. What he did was bizarre. The way he behaved was bizarre. What he was saying in the recordings was bizarre. But finally, so some background details on him. He's a retired U.S. State Department security officer. He worked in diplomatic security internationally, lived alone, as we know, in rural Minnesota. He served in military intelligence, worked in diplomatic security assignments overseas, and he had medals for serving in shoot, now I'm trying to remember. Do you remember, Shannon?
I don't know if it was
He served in Vietnam.
Yeah.
He did serve in Vietnam.
He had a brother too.
Okay.
Named Bruce.
Right.
Who he talked to when he was like sitting there talking to himself during the robbery, or after he had killed them. He was talking to his brother Bruce and saying, "Bruce, can you come over and basically help me with this situation?" I think. But that's what he was practicing when he. But anyway, sorry, that I digress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, his mother had died in July. Okay. So before this happened in November, his mother had just died that year. So that I think contributes to a picture of his mental
his state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but again, this is the way that he spoke to Haile, calling them both vermin, and in speaking in this really bizarre, inappropriate way. I know it's weird to use the word inappropriate it's never appropriate to kill somebody who's unarmed, but
like hateful and angry, and
that weird dehumanization that soldiers, and we spoke about this in the episode we did on the My Lai massacre, but the way you survive in combat is you dehumanize your targets. That's how you get through it. You narrow your focus. It's how you survive, and you see that it's really well done in warfare when they're like, they're pointing towards a potential target, and there's like kids and families going through this open air market, animals just crossing back and forth, and it's like, do you do what you have to do, but that changes you. When you start to feel that perceived threat, and you have a trauma response, you go back into that mode.
It was an actual threat too. I mean, the thing
was an actual,
and like when anybody gets threatened, we do narrow. Like, you don't sit around like thinking about your choices. Your focus and attention do actually narrow, and so does your behavioral repertoire. Like, any of us who's ever had a situation where we felt threatened, we usually are reactive because we don't really pause and make room for, okay, what do I need to do in this situation to protect myself? You just fall on whatever habitual patterned response you have. But I think in his case, he was living, like, he was basically glitching out. Like, I think that threat that happened put him into like, because he was alone. He didn't have a therapist. He didn't have anyone to really talk to about it. He wasn't talking to anybody about it. And he was like left alone with his mind that had, been at war at one point, had been a security person. And he did what most of us do if we're just stuck in our own minds, in that sort of escalation that happens for us when we, feel intruded upon, violated, afraid, angry. He sort of, I think he's escalated it, right? He had the feelings of vulnerability, had the feelings of anger, the feelings of injustice. The cops were unable to help him when he called them. He lost $50,000. And I think he just sat around stewing, and it just kept escalating and escalating and escalating and escalating. And there was no the nervous system, when it's innervated that way, it takes a lot for the parasympathetic nervous system to come in and regulate. And I think he was just sitting around just stewing, basically, and like couldn't feel safe. He couldn't get himself to a place where he could feel safe again without eliminating the target, I guess. That's what it seemed like, at least. Right?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
yeah.
I,
Like
and
lonely, very
yeah.
lonely person. No one to talk to about it. No one to reassure him. Cops couldn't help him. People don't
Yeah.
like living with that. Those feelings are like the hardest feelings to live with. And I don't think he saw another option for making them go away. And I think
Yeah.
that's what he was like, make it go away, make it go away, make it go away. And that was his main thing.
Right. And what do you do when you feel threatened? You you neutralize the problem. I think that's the thing. There's not a whole lot of information, details about his military service. He did serve in Vietnam, but I think so, because he was on, what is it, like the intelligence side, it's classified. And the medals, I'm not sure what he got medals for, but it sucks because I was looking for like a psychological profile, but they didn't do one, because they were not going to argue insanity. So he was never going to be evaluated. And I can't help but think that, and this is opinion, but he seems, the way he reacted and his behavior during and after just screams PTSD.
For
And
sure.
this points to the thing that there is just not enough done for veterans, like with the VA. And this from your dad, that the VA is, there's just not enough done. No sort of like mandatory check-ins with people who served, to just kind of see where they are, see if there needs to be some sort of intervention, because a lot of times these guys won't even see it in themselves.
There's a really great person who works for the VA who's an ACT trainer, and she does trauma work. Robin Walzer. And it's funny. The trauma thing is really interesting because I think a lot of approaches and a lot of like pop psych, and in general, I think a lot of people who work with trauma, they think the goal is to make it go away or something, but it doesn't. I mean, it's like you have an experience with trauma. You have an experience, right? And it that you can't delete that. It's just what happened, right? There's no delete button on that experience. And then if it's like prolonged or it somehow has an impact on you, especially with, war, living in that state like you were describing with the movie, where it's like, sure, you're in your barracks, you're having fun with your pals, but there's this constant threat that you could be blown up at any moment. And living with that, it takes its toll. And then you just have this you're left with this nervous system that most people who don't have a lot of trauma can walk around the world and see things and talk to people and hear things and not be constantly seeing danger cues, right? Life is just harder if you have trauma. You just have that. For him was a huge danger cue, right? Like getting his house broken into. Even people driving by his house, he probably was like, oh, who's that? Watching for the cars. There's a lot more in the environment that can hijack you if you have trauma. And the degree to which it can hijack you is larger, right? Like the nervous system just kind of responds in this way. And then the thinking and the feelings and then there's kind of, but I think people aren't taught, I mean, it's veterans especially, but people aren't taught that to work with it when it shows up, right? It's like, and to know that you're going to have that kind of nervous system probably for the rest of your life, and that you're going to have to, deal with these ups and downs in a way that other people don't have to deal with them. it's a scar. It's not a bruise. And like, I don't even know if he knew that he had that, if he had PTSD,
Well,
right?
that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is the thing that
Mm-hmm.
one thing that became abundantly clear when we were researching the Vietnam episode. Sorry, I think I have one of Poochie's hairs in my mouth. Oh, it's the worst feeling.
Oh, yeah. Ugh.
Okay. Sorry. That was going to drive me crazy. When we were doing the research, and it shows clips of military training, and I think that someone even acknowledges one of the My Lai massacre soldiers talks about they beat it into you how to kill,
Yeah.
just over and over again. Um, you learn to march in step. You learn to do things in this very specific way. You that on constant repeat, kill, kill, kill. You're trained to kill. Um, and then you go and you do it, and then you're reintegrated into society with very little in the way of fucking resources, and they're just assuming as a soldier that you're even going to know how the signs to look for
I know.
if
And
you're
there's
falling
no,
apart.
yeah. Well, and there's no, like, yeah, there's no holding, at least that I know of, around that. That's like, what you've experienced has permanently changed you.
Right.
And you're going to go into the world, and things are, you're going to see and hear things, and you're going to jump, and you're going to feel like, you know, and you're going to sweat, and your heart's going to race, and you're going to want to beat somebody up. Like, there's nothing. They just let
Right.
you out, and go ahead, go live your life now. And the VA is insane. I mean, you can't get treatment for things. It's just, I called about, my dad has a pain syndrome called complex regional pain syndrome. It's horrible. And I called to get him some assistance through the VA just for home care and things that could help him get around or go to the bathroom when he can't move. They said it would be a month before they could even have a phone call about it with him. It's horrible to ask people to have their lives irrevocably changed, to fight a war, and to give them inadequate treatment afterwards is just absolutely, it's disgusting to me. Anyway,
Yeah.
get
But
off
yeah,
that
that's
soapbox.
no, it's that is the thing that keeps recurring. That's the thing we keep seeing come up. Um, and then of course for someone like Byron Smith, this he's an elderly dude now, but he's coming from a generation where there weren't open discussions about mental health. We at least have that now. It's at
Yes.
least an open discussion now. One of the things I appreciate is like, my oldest son, who's 18 now, and he and his friends, like, there's no shame if any of them have a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about their feelings. It's
Mm-hmm.
not it's not emasculating
Mm-hmm.
to these teenage boys to discuss
Mm-hmm.
their feelings and what they're
Mm-hmm.
going through. And what that has done is they've created a support network
Mm-hmm.
around their group of friends, to make sure they check in, they make sure everything's okay. There's no shame in asking for help. It's not like when we were kids where it's like, ha ha, you're struggling, now I will bully you, you are vulnerable. um, what's that Simpsons episode where Nelson and his friends were like, hey, that kid's thinking for himself. Then he must kick his ass.
That's great.
But anyway, that we at least have that now. But like, so going back to, and again, it's not a perfect thing, and there's still a lot of speaking about, acknowledging an issue is still in a lot of ways, and I suffer from it, is perceived as weakness, because we don't want to open things up, because we're leaving ourselves even more vulnerable.
Yeah.
or we have shame. We have shame around just not being strong enough to just sort of weather the storm. We hope that things will go away.
Also, he
You
might
know,
have worried that, like, a lot of people have this concern because he worked for the State Department in security. He probably had a clearance. He was probably I mean, if people seek treatment, that can hurt them getting a security clearance. It could also get in the way of gun ownership and stuff like that. So people really
very good point. Very good point.
refrain.
Yeah,
But I don't know that that's true. I don't know. I didn't research
sure.
the gun laws, but like if you went to your therapist and you got a PTSD diagnosis, I don't even know if you have to disclose that, or even if you got like a depression diagnosis, I don't know, it
Because
wouldn't matter.
I mean, the HIPAA applies to,
Yeah.
yeah.
They can't ask for your record. I don't think they ask you for your mental health records.
No.
So,
And this
but
was 2012, so it wasn't so long ago.
mhm.
Uh, so yeah, I would think he would have protections. I mean, here's the thing though, we'll never know because they never did a fucking psychological evaluation.
Yeah, also if they did do a psychological evaluation, I don't think PTSD qualifies as being insane because it's just a matter of you having a very
Temporary insanity, right?
but
Wouldn't that?
I don't think so because I think what they mean by insane is psychosis, like not out of touch with reality. Like if you have a short
Uh,
fuse, well like
that
you could say
seems out of
Chris
touch with.
but you could say short Chris Watts had, PTSD and he killed his whole family because he had a PTSD reaction. I think I think a lot of people who kill people probably have PTSD and probably do it out of the fact that they can't control their anger or their nervous system that's activated and they don't have a good, you know, ability to regulate. So,
Yeah, he had this, but he this was this. I mean, it was out of character. Like Chris Watts wasn't doing. I mean, I mean, it's up for. We'll never know exactly. I mean, there's his version of events as to how the murders went down.
I just so many people would be getting off for crimes if you
Yeah.
said because
I guess the point is like I'm not saying that he shouldn't serve time. Like he did something so fucking egregious.
okay, you're
But
saying like mitigating. It's mitigating
there were mitigating
circumstances.
Yeah, no, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
That's because I would make the argument that because this happened and because something triggered this response, he's a danger to society. Because who's to say that he's not going to get paranoid if somebody looks at him funny or somebody cuts him off in traffic or, there's all kinds of things could come up at that point. I mean, if he's able to, under pressure and under fear of threat, like everything feels like a threat at that point. So he is a danger to society as it stands. I just don't know if life without the possibility of parole makes sense for this, considering he had no criminal history. He was acting in this bizarre, irrational way. I think he needs help is what it is, because him just being in prison without some intervention, just something for his mental health. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, he'll probably get therapy in prison, but
But I mean, I don't know that it'll be
Yeah.
required of him, and I don't know that he would seek it out. I don't know that he even knows.
Yeah.
He's an older gentleman, so I feel like he's from like, my grandpa's era. That's like, therapy's for babies. I'm not
Yeah.
crazy. That's for crazy people. You know what I mean?
It's funny. He ended up in there with the vermin. Like, you know what I mean? I think he had this thing of like us, them, like he's the good guy. He's being tread upon by these. I mean, I get this. I fully
Right.
am like, this is my vigilante side. I'm like, yeah, fuck off. If you're going to break into somebody's house and some shit happens to you, then that happens. Sorry. Like,
dude, you wouldn't believe the things that I see about posts about people that want to shoot and kill the people that steal Amazon packages off their porch. And that's stealing Amazon packages off their porch. That's not even breaking into someone's house and stealing fucking like medals of honor that are irreplaceable,
We do
like
not
and
like
rifling
this.
through their stuff.
We
Yeah,
do not.
it's
My
yeah,
sister used to steal my shit when I was little, and I have never been so enraged in my life because we have these we have these boundaries for a reason. It's like that's my stuff. Like,
right.
so I get it. I get wanting to murder them. I
Yeah,
but it is that thing of like most of us have a mechanism that's like, okay, don't do that. Don't, because of some road rage, don't get out of your car and shoot this man in front of his children. Most of us can stop ourselves, but the people who can't, that's a problem.
yeah,
And, right, like if the justice system exists not to just punish people, if we do believe that we could have some rehabilitation, you know, should he be given a chance? I think so. Like, I think so. I mean, what he did was pretty gnarly. I think the way he looked and the way he sounded added to it. I think if he was like a handsome, strapping young man who played it off better, like who was a little more maybe socially savvy with the cops and hid the recording, he could have
well,
just gotten away with it.
the recording was his undoing.
Yeah.
And that also, as somebody who is so just savvy about security systems, as someone who probably has a pretty healthy understanding of law,
Mm-hmm.
again, being such a so high up in military, the fact that he didn't see that those audio recordings were going to be a problem, I feel like also speaks to his state of mind.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think the problem here is I'm not going to say fuck those kids, they deserve to die, because they didn't deserve to die. If they deserve to die, then I fucking deserve to die for every stupid fucking thing I
Mm-hmm.
ever did as a teenager. I still shudder at some of the things that I did and I was lucky to get away with, but I had the chance to grow up
Mm-hmm.
and mature and look back and go, man, I fucked up and
Yeah.
I'm going to try to be a better person. These kids never saw that. And I know nothing about them, and maybe they would have grown up to be pieces of shit. Maybe they would grow up and like learn better and know better,
Yeah.
but they never had a chance. So again, if I'm going to be glad that they died for fucking up. And again, they broke into that house with no weapons. They didn't want to hurt anybody. They were stupid. They were
Most
absolutely stupid.
Yeah, most burglars do not. Like my dad was a cop, and he used to say that. Like most burglars, they don't want it to escalate. They just want to get in and get out and take your stuff.
Right.
And that's kind of what they were after. And he did deprive them of a chance to grow up and also to make good, like apologize, right? He had every opportunity to really get them good, like
Well, dude,
call the
if he had,
cops, turn them in, you
even
know,
if he had just shot their kneecaps off, which
which would
like
suck.
that's yeah, which would suck, but guess who's never fucking robbing another house again? You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
And if they do, well, I admire their commitment to a life of crime, I guess. I don't know. But like the thing that really got me was when he shot Haile and she
Mm,
responded with, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah.
And I bet she was fucking sorry, but
Yeah.
it wasn't, and he was past the point of hearing that,
Oh,
which
yeah.
again speaks to his state of mind. And that got to me, because in that moment I'm like, this is a stupid 18-year-old girl, man. She's a stupid 18-year-old girl, man. I was stupid even at 25. I was stupid at 31. I might be a little dumb now. I'm hoping to work
No.
through that in my 50s. I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? Like you yeah, I mean, not everybody is blessed to be a perfect fucking 18-year-old. I was the furthest thing from it. And so I have compassion for those kids. Again, there's not enough information about them, but the bottom line is it's not fucking for me to judge whether they,
Mhm.
um, but but at the same time, I see what happened with Byron getting life without the possibility of parole in prison is also a tragedy, because I don't could be wrong, but I don't think for a second that this guy was getting the help he needed, like so many fucking veterans. I don't think, and I think sitting in prison without the chance for redemption at all. Like, again, this is a guy with no criminal history, upstanding member of society, fucking served in the military, was pretty peaceful, nice neighbor guy. It's I don't think he behaved in a rational way.
No.
And so that's the thing is, okay, fine, he's in prison for life, you know. And I understand when I saw also the limits of the Castle Doctrine in Minnesota, I'm like, slam dunk. Like, he was never, you know, he broke the law and stuff, but
He didn't even
zero.
try. I mean, it's
Yeah.
interesting. He didn't even try to. It's almost like he didn't know what he was doing was wrong, or
That's definitely 100% he did not. Like, the fact that he kept their bodies overnight, which also speaks to a man who is dissociated in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean?
it's sad because we do this all
I'm
the
listening. I'm
time.
going to help Poochie up.
Okay. It's sad because we do this all the time in our own little ways. We just don't catch it early enough, you know, like, wow, I'm feeling a lot of rage and fear. And so it's like, yeah, it is irrational, but it's like the same result. You could have had the same result if the kids broke into a house with just some guy there who had guns, and he heard someone breaking into his house, and he comes around the corner, he sees somebody, and he shoots them. And like, that guy probably would have gotten off, and he probably would have gotten off had he just, you know, acknowledged what he was doing was not above board and covered his tracks. But the fact that he didn't, it makes me wonder, you know, like, I don't know, like if there's some other layer to this. I don't know, like, unconsciously, you know, they say that people want to be caught. I don't know. It's so odd to me that he didn't try to.
Well, that
I think he also had social stuff. He seemed to me to be socially a little off. You know, like, not getting it. His the way he talked, the way he, you know, I think his oddness actually was his undoing. I think they just didn't like him either. Like, he's not likable.
sure.
He's not, you know, in the interviews you hear. Yeah, at first I was like questioning the whole thing. Is he really guilty? I mean, you know, but after listening to what he recorded, it's just pretty obvious that he was motivated by anger, fear, rage, revenge. And that's what we do. I mean, that's what you're taught in the military, right? You see these people, you see the other as vermin, and you
Right.
exterminate them. But to stay in that space for such a prolonged time, you know, and also otherwise be functioning, like, but his friends did say, his neighbor friends did say that he had a marked difference in his psychology after these burglaries. He didn't go.
He was ramping up.
Yeah, he didn't go to
He was
Thanksgiving
ramping
at
up.
their house because he usually went every year. He didn't go. He felt unsafe. So it really, I think, you know, think about. I mean, I've felt that vulnerable before, and I would hate to be living in that state. And I would do almost everything to get out of it. And I don't know if, but the fact that he thought that he had to actually kill them to get out of that is so delusional. Like, he could have just busted them, like, and, you know, gotten them arrested. So that's the part where I'm like, that decision point. That decision point is interesting. Like, he didn't back away from that. He didn't have, like, you know, there was no space in there to make another decision. That's
Right.
pretty twisted. But, you know,
Well, that's
yeah.
again where I'm wondering, and I could be fucking wrong. I could be wrong. I'm not a fucking expert. I just again, you know, with all the stuff, the research we were doing for the Vietnam episode, and then also this other documentary that I saw, that your mom recommended, which was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
No, definite trauma response.
yeah,
But also like
yeah,
totally like if you didn't have trauma before that, like that still would be terrifying and awful
yeah,
to have someone break into your house and steal your guns and steal your
right.
medals and steal $50,000 worth of stuff and have the cops be like, sorry, can't do anything about it. And then have it happen again. And then have it happen again. Um,
Yeah, at a certain point, and again, I think there's something to be said for, the stealing irreplaceable medals of honor that you earned, that you fought hard to earn these things, and they're taken from you. Feels it's so invasive. um it's on par with it's an assault. It's an assault on you. It's an assault on your, privacy, on um
your boundary, your one
your
boundary between like your little personal world and the rest of the world, which can be
yeah,
awfully threatening at times. That's totally obliterated.
yeah,
It's horrifying. I
right,
think it's horrifying. Like what you take from people when you break into their homes it's a lot. You
right,
take their sense of safety and security away from them. And that is, I feel rage even thinking about it. You know,
right.
I feel rage
And
when someone blocks my driveway.
I trust me, I know. You wouldn't, like, I remember someone broke into my car and stole my iPod,
Oh,
a long time ago, and that's just a stupid fucking iPod. I'm like, oh man, they can see like pictures I have on there, and my playlists. And that's a stupid iPod. So I'm not coming into that situation. First of all, it wasn't a repeated break-in, and it wasn't in my home, and I didn't fucking, serve during one of the gnarliest fucking wars in our, in history. um
oh,
so like, I that's the thing. When I look at this, I think it's, first of all, a lot more nuanced than he is right and they are wrong, or they
yeah.
are right and he is wrong. It's tragic all the fucking way around.
So
and
tragic.
and if I have to point a finger, I do point a finger at just the failure of, you know a system that sends people to war, trains them to be killing machines, and then just abandons them when they come back.
It's horrible.
Because I don't understand how you have this expectation of these people. They and many of them are, many of these kids are enlisting. Like, there's the largest number of enlisted now, in ages. And
Hmm.
what that means is my 18-year-old isn't going to have to be drafted someday. Like, there are people that are volunteering to go and fight for this country. And they don't have a say in where they get deployed. They don't have a say in the war they're fighting in, whether we back it or not. But they're there to fight and defend us. and
Yes.
and and we ask them to go and risk their lives, and then we heap judgment upon them when they come back broken, and that's not
Yeah.
fair. And so that's the thing. I don't, I
Yeah.
again, we'll never know. But
Yeah.
I with Byron Smith, I'm working under the assumption that this guy, based on his previous behavior, based on his behavior in that moment, and based on his behavior after, was not in his right mind, and he just seems like somebody who has fucking seen and done some shit. And so he deserved prison 100%. But I hope he's getting the help he needs. And I don't know that, without zero possibility of parole, I don't think is fair. I think that he should be evaluated, and maybe some monitoring takes place. But like, he was already an old man to begin with.
I
I don't know.
know. Well, they
Um,
also didn't allow any mitigate. They didn't allow anything about the kids' histories of burglaries and criminality in. I don't know if it's that relevant, but it could be in terms of like. But and then they also, I don't know how much they let in about his psychology. They didn't get any
right.
evals,
No.
and not that I don't know if that would have helped with sentencing. It just depends on the judge, I guess. And but uh Yeah,
What
like
about a
what's the
psychiatric hospital? Do they still have those?
yeah,
Like,
what's the goal though? Like with our that's always begs the question for me. Like, what's the goal of our justice system? You know,
it's not to
Pres-
rehabilitate, it doesn't seem. Although a lot of rehabilitation takes place in prison. You know my
yeah,
love for TikTok. So I follow some folks that did time in prison, and they talk about like a lot of life-changing shit that happened for them. You know what
I
I mean?
know.
There's a lot of ministry that happens in prisons, which is great. There's a lot of opportunities for education. One guy went in there, fucking got, you know, learned a trade. He's doing
Yeah,
great. Um, so there, I think those options are available. It just depends on what you want. And for Byron Smith, again, I don't know that he goes to prison and is like, huh, I'm going to turn over a new leaf. Like he already, you know, he was a retired guy.
yeah.
He was retired.
Also,
Um,
like he doesn't seem. Yeah, I mean there are people who will take it up and people who won't, and
mhm.
it's funny. My dad just got asked by somebody. He's not going to do it, and I don't know why. This he got called up by one of his old cop buddies recently, and he's like, "You'll never guess who's here with me." And oh, it was a bail bonds guy that he used to be my dad friends with in Sacramento. They're like, "Guess who's here with me?" And he's like, "Who?" And it was some guy that my dad had arrested like a billion times, but who apparently went to prison for murder, just was totally rehabilitated, works with other people now, and they want to do like a story series. And I'm like, oh my God, you should totally do this. My dad won't do it for some reason, but I love these stories of redemption because they do happen and they can happen. And that there's a guy in jail right now who I just totally admire. You know, the Jarvis Masters, he's connected with Pema Chodron, and he's just so wise and so loving, and he's totally been reformed, but they won't let him out because he's in for life. And it's so hard to get people out of that system once they're in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think, you know, I don't know. So yeah, right. Like locking him up forever and throwing away the key, I think is more about what people made of his anger. I think people have a very hard time with anger. And I think he sounded just like what many of us think and feel on the inside on that tape. When someone's parked in my driveway, I am Byron Smith on that tape. I'm like, you fucking vermin. Like, motherfucker, I want
Piece
to
of
blow
shit.
No, seriously,
Yeah.
I want to blow their car up. And I want to like put their face on every window as the worst criminal ever to exist. You know, it's like
Right.
every, you know, anyway, so it's like, I get it. Like we all go there, you know, and times when we're enraged. And I think when I watched those cops' faces when they were talking about him,
Yeah.
I I could see them othering him, and I was like, "Fuck you guys, get off your fucking high horse!" Like, you know, I could see them turning him into vermin
Mm-hmm.
in their minds, right? But not seeing it, and then punishing him extremely for how he dared to say out loud how he felt, you know? And I think that did him in because people just can't handle. They
Well,
can't also, yeah.
that's the irony,
Hmm.
really, right? He others the kids. He gets othered by the cops. It's his undoing, you know, essentially his undoing. He undid the kids. Um, and that's where the tragedy is. I mean,
Yeah.
this is tragic. And you know, as you know, I'm on my faith journey, and it's gosh, it's been amazing. And one of the things is there is the impulse, you know, to look at those kids and be like, well, what were they were useless, they were worthless, you know. I
Mm.
could look at well, they were worthless because, you know, here they are in this window of their lives doing the stupid shit.
Hmm.
um it's not for me to decide. It's not for me to decide that they don't deserve to live. That is, you know, that's God's decision. It's not my decision, but I know that I would want grace, I would want forgiveness, and I would want the opportunity to do better. And whether I do or don't, I'd appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
And they, you know, and that's the thing. I look at them and I see myself as a stupid ass kid, man. There's some shit that I did and I was so impulsive. And I get that feeling. Like I can almost imagine like they're bored, living in this fucking nothing town. And they're like, what are we going to do right now? Let's go to that house. The guy's not there. We can find some more shit to steal and to sell. And they think they're going to go in and get it done. And they should never have done it. And it's
so shitty as a victim.
It's so shitty.
As a victim of an early age of my thieving sister.
Yeah.
I have
no,
this.
I know. It just,
I'm all, your damn kids.
I know, but man, you don't want that to be the sum of who you are, defined in that moment, in the same way that Byron Smith doesn't want to be defined completely as a human being by this impulsive just moment also, except that, you know, it's in the way that, like, you know, they'll never have a chance to kind of redeem themselves, and he right now doesn't have a chance to get the help he needs and redeem himself. And that's where I see the tragedy all the way around, and that the big thing that I see in this is a failure. It's a systemic failure on the you know, for I mean, already we have a mental health crisis in this country, you know, with a lot of the homeless population, but the veterans that are just, hey, thanks for risking your life and taking a lot of lives, and we're gonna just kind of ignore you now, and if you need anything, call us and we'll call you back in a month and a half or a year.
And maybe give you it's just, I know,
and maybe you can speak to one of these people and we'll just prescribe you medication that you may or may not need,
and make it really hard for you to get it. And you know, it's just, and you know, so okay,
so that's I think
that's
it. This is the Byron Smith case. Would be interested to know your guys's thoughts and opinions. Again, like, I could be way off. We'll never know about the PTSD thing.
And that's an interesting question in general. Like, what does constitute, from a legal perspective, I didn't look at this at all, but what does constitute insanity? You know, not knowing how to manage one's internal state and slow down and not murder people. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I think
this goes back to the Lindsay Clancy episode that we did. You know, when people are like, this was premeditated, she's a monster, she's a horrible person. And it's like, really? Because everything leading up to this moment doesn't indicate that. There's
but most people only kill one person. So of all murders, most people only kill one person. And I think just as humans, we don't have that much impulse control when we're mad or we're scared or we're whatever. And I think that's the hard part, is that, like, legally, anyway, I think the PTSD contributes, but it explains, but I don't think it excuses. You know what I mean?
No,
I think
no. Well, for sure. Again, if the goal is to try and keep the rest of society safe, I can't say with any confidence that Byron Smith was not a threat to other people too. If he feels threatened, you know what I mean? So that's the thing. And it's just, it's a sad case.
It is. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Like,
but you know what I mean about the Lindsay Clancy thing, where it's like,
well, she had postpartum psychosis. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I would say, okay, postpartum psychosis, and they have a tough time, like, they're still studying it, right? Trying to recognize. She was trying so hard to get help. Like, that's the difference too, is she was doing everything she could to get help, and it didn't work. But with Byron Smith, there was no seeking help because I don't know, he just was acting so weird, like, before and after.
Very.
If it was just anger, if it was just rage, I feel like he would have known to fucking hide some evidence, and he didn't. And he was just acting really peculiar, and sure, go ahead and take stuff out of my house and look at it and see that I was saying some really sketchy shit as I was killing these kids.
Yeah, like, I'm like, did he misunderstand the Castle Doctrine? Like, did he not? That's the part where I think he has some kind
I
of.
don't even know that he was thinking of the Castle Doctrine. I think
Yeah.
he was just thinking, I gotta fucking defend my home. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't know that that's where I'm going with, like, I don't think he was all there.
Yeah,
You
I don't.
know?
Yeah, and like what constitutes. Oh God, it gets so tricky because
I know, and I didn't go to law school.
I
There's, like,
know.
so much.
We'll
I'm
ask
like
the
trying to figure it
prosecutors.
out. Yeah.
Uh,
We'll ask. Oh, dude, Brett and Alice should have they done this?
I don't know, but I was just listening to their like legal briefs episode about Karen Reed, and it's so good. Oh,
Okay, can I just say this? I'm listening to their West Memphis 3 thing, and if I hear them say degloved one more time, I'm like doing this. I'm like, stop. And then Alice is like, hang on. Can I say one more thing about like skinning penises? Brett's like, sure, Alice. And I'm like, no, whatever you're, oh no, can't.
Let's never discuss a degloved penis again.
Ever again. I know, and but I appreciate their coverage. This West Memphis 3 is one of like it's a case that haunts me to this day, and I love the fact that they're going into such great detail on it. But yeah, the penis thing with, I think it's Christopher Byers. I'm like, no, I can't. Can we not talk about Chris Byers, the poor kid, and his whether it was like predation or someone doing it or all that kind of stuff. There's it's a lot. Sorry guys, we just went off on a tangent. I'm sorry. We that's our episode, right? Shannon, do we have any closing thoughts?
I hear you about the PTSD question and when is someone compromised to a degree by anything that renders them insane for that moment. That's a good question. Let's look at that and come back next time.
Yeah, because temporary insanity is still a thing.
Right.
And that's a thing that happens.
And I always assumed it was reserved for losing touch with reality level of like, I'm in another, like I'm having a like schizophrenia or a psychotic break, or, where you temporarily cannot be held responsible for your actions because you're just whacked out of your mind. And he wasn't, because he was, it's whacked out of your mind to think that you can get away with this, which is really stupid.
But also, like, he set up a kill room and he sat there with snacks and a gun in his lap.
I know. That to me is like a deer hunter. That's like, I'm hunting for deer. Like
and he was and like the weird dehumanization and the fact that he was behaving in a way that was unrecognizable to other people that knew him. That feels like temporary. I know,
but still functioning. That feels like
temporary.
I know. That's a good. That's where we have to figure out what the legal definition is, because it's also,
because keep in mind when we did the Lindsay Clancy case again, the argument that she was absolutely in her right mind was that that it was premeditated, that she planned it, and that she was acting like everything was fine and acting normal on the phone with her husband right after she killed her kids and right before she slit her own throat and jumped out a window.
Yeah.
And they were like, but she was acting normally. And I'm like, but you can be psychotic and appear normal.
That's why I think it's not a good defense. That's why I think like you can't really even use this as a defense. Because it's so subjective and it relies on the person's capacity to make a case through their behavior in a way. But like, I don't even know what it means actually to say someone's insane, because, to me, the defining line is whatever's going on in here. There's no a person who could be held accountable. It's like, I've been taken over by like something else is operating me besides I have no culpability because I'm in a schizophrenic, paranoid, divorced from reality place where I'm acting in a way where I will not remember this. That to me is insane. But the other things, anything else to me is like, there's still an eye, even if you don't know how to stop yourself from pulling the trigger because you just are so mad, right? You go up to the person who cut you off and you kill them. You are still there. And in a world where like you just didn't have the skills to make a different choice. And so therefore you're responsible for your behavior, and now go learn those skills so you don't kill other people. Like, to me, that's a skills thing. It's like I don't know how to work with whatever feeling I'm having, and I'm just going to like blow someone's head off because I can't. That's different from the guy who got on the bus and is having a schizophrenic episode in Canada, and like beheaded the kid with a pen and then started eating his organs. Like, later when they talked to him, he's like, holy fuck, like, I didn't know what I was, that is, please just like kill me. That's what he said to them. He's like, kill me. I can't believe I did that. Because he just wasn't there. That to me is a reliable defense that I could get behind. But anything else to me is kind of like, you did that though. Like, even if
So what would you say then for Lindsay Clancy?
I don't know. I think that's what they're trying to determine, because I don't know. And you can blip in and out, it seems like, right? You can blip in and out of like, oh, I'm here. No, I'm not here. Not here. Not, I guess. But I think they're still trying to determine like what do you call what she was experiencing? Was it like, depression can get you so believing your thoughts about the world, like the people who kill their kids because they think the world is going to end. They're saving their kids because there's going to be this whatever. Those are beliefs that are not true, but you've bought them. And
Sure.
So there's a bit of agency in that, it's like, just
well, yeah,
it's a skills thing. Like, you don't know how to look at your thoughts and question them and say, is there really evidence for this? Do I really need to kill my kids? Like, there's just no space in there. It's nuts.
Well, look at Andrea Yates.
Yeah.
Poor Andrea Yates. Like, but I mean, she was there was everything in her behavior over the course of years, and also psychiatrists saying she cannot be alone with her children. She needs to be on this medication. She needs to be constantly monitored. And the person that belongs in prison is her fucking husband. I'm sorry. Like, she doesn't even want to be let out. She has so much. Her life was so wasted just by these forced pregnancies and the mental health problems she was already having. It's so sad. But anyway,
I see what you mean though. Like, you're saying he was so compromised by his PTSD that he might as well have been insane, because like that, this whole behavioral thing that appeared, that, his thoughts, his feelings, his sensations, he was so escalated that he could, like, it distorted his view of like what's right and wrong. But then it's like such a slippery slope, right? It's like,
and then this, it
Mhm.
is. And it gets to the point. I think the primary thing to look at here, I'm less interested in retribution, and I'm more interested in, does this person pose a risk? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. But again, I'm hoping that he gets the help that he needs, because I do think he was compromised, but I think he's dangerous. In the same way that, like, with Andrea Yates, I think at this point she's in like a mental institution. I don't even think it's a case of being incarcerated, and it's more that she's deeply disturbed. So I guess that's the main thing, right?
Yeah, is that like yes, that doing something like he did does not mean he's vermin, then a person that should be given up on and not given a chance to receive treatment, re-enter the world potentially, right? Like,
Yeah,
you're
potentially.
saying, you're saying like he
potentially.
treat him right. Absolutely. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where we are, gang. Thanks for joining us in our first video episode.
I did it.
You did
I was
it.
so scared.
What were you afraid of?
I don't know. I don't.
I got you.
Just being in front of a camera and just
I
like,
understand.
oof. But also, it's so good to see you when we're talking. It makes it so much easier.
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. It does. And do you like my strawberry cup?
I love it.
I got it at Target. They have like these different cups that are like $5. I have one that's it's like a cupcake or a donut, and then I have one that's a burger.
Oh,
and then a whole bunch of hot dogs.
I drink out of these little jars. I love drinking out of these little mason jars.
I have some too for like cold beverages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is my cold brew, but it's gone now. All right, everybody.
Yes.
Oh, should we tell people?
Oh yeah. Hello. Yeah, totally forgot. Follow us, please, on Instagram
and
on
Patreon.
And on Patreon. Our Instagram is at Secret Passage Podcast. On X, it's Secret Pass Pod. And then our Patreon is
it's blah 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 Patreon Secret Passage. It's just
okay.
like the whole, but you can look us
Patreon / Secret Passage, right? But all this information is linked in our social media bios, and we are so happy that you're listening and that you are with us in our summer season, and we look forward to a whole bunch of episodes, video episodes, and please give us really great reviews, even if you don't like us. If you could just give us
5 stars.
5 stars.
Oh, we could do it. We could do it. Brett and Alice do. No. But they want to say if people give us 5 stars, they could ask a question and then we could answer it on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, do we have a way to do that?
Yeah. So if you give us 5 stars on either Apple Podcasts or I know I'm just inventing the way right now. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and you email us. Oh, how we do this? Oh, could they ask the question in the comment on the rating?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you, well, is that silly? Anyway,
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Anyway, just give us 5 stars. We'll come back later.
And let us know if you have any episode requests. This was requested by Jackie, our pal of the show and pal of mine. But if anybody has any episodes that they would be interested, or any topics that they'd be interested in us covering, we're happy to do it. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Bye.
See you next time.